Hi guys, my name is Kuram and I am talking about brainstorming. In this video, I will cover what is brainstorming and how to use it. So let's start now. Brainstorming is an idea generation technique which we use in problem solving. Through brainstorming, we try to have as many ideas as possible for a given problem at a group level. So we can say brainstorming is a group level as well as an individual activity. However, in this video, I will cover brainstorming at a group level. Now let's talk graphically. In brainstorming, we describe our problem to the group members at a group level, and after having discussion, we try to extract as many ideas as possible for the given problem. After having ideas, we apply voting method to select one or more ideas for prototyping or implementation. This whole process is called brainstorming. Now let's have an example. Few weeks ago, I had a single bird who had been sad almost all the time. Then I called my friends for group discussion and described my problem. After the discussion, they gave me all these ideas like buy another bird, buy new cage stuff, spend more time for trainings, set him free, and so on. I selected the first idea and now I have a pair of happy birds. So the problem is solved. Instead of single sad bird, I have a pair of happy birds. However, if we look closely, what I did to get all these ideas, I just had a group discussion. So we can say brainstorming is just a name of group discussion, a fancy name of group discussion. However, when we say brainstorming instead of discussion, we try to follow some guideline. For example, it should be time bounded. Otherwise, participants start boring. It should be goal oriented. Otherwise, it could be just wastage of time and money. And it should be quantitative instead of qualitative, which means we should consider each and every idea, doesn't matter how wild the idea is. We should have a moderator, and it's a part of moderator job to follow all these guidelines and keep the brainstorming in right direction. So when we say brainstorming instead of discussion, we try to follow all these guides and or principles. Now let's talk about brainstorming techniques. First, there is no strict and hard rule for brainstorming. We can apply any method or any technique to extract the ideas. However, if we say that last brainstorming session was not very productive because the group members were inactive, they were not participating actively in the brainstorming meetings. This type of problem can be solved through brainwriting, which says each group member should write 3 ideas and then passes to the next person sitting at right side. And then he will add some few points and then passes again to the next person sitting at right side and so on. So actually what happening? Everyone is putting equal number of inputs in brainstorming. So the problem is solved because everyone is active now. Now let's describe second problem. If we say last brainstorming session was not very productive because one person has influenced over all group members. So he was talking almost all the time and rest of the group members were just listening. This is not an ideal situation for brainstorming. And this type of situation can be avoided through step ladder. Step ladder technique says start the group meeting by 2 group members, and when they have discussed their ideas, then call the third person. He will first describe his ideas and then listen the previous ideas. So he will not be influenced by anyone else in the group meeting. Then similarly call the fourth person and she will describe her ideas first and then listen the previous ideas. So actually what we are doing, we are removing influence of anyone over any other person in the group members. Now no one is influenced by anyone because he or she describing his or her ideas first and then listening the previous ideas. So the problem is solved now. Now let's talk another problem. If we say last brainstorming session was not productive because the group members were shy or afraid, so they were not giving the ideas. This problem can be solved through figure storming. Figure storming is a very interesting and very popular technique which says we should start a group meeting by putting an empty chair in the meeting room, and now imagine some famous person like Steve Jobs sitting in the chair. If he has the problem, then how he would solve the problem? Actually, what we are doing, we are putting everyone into the other's shoes to make him or her more brave. For example, she will not be afraid for giving ideas, because if the idea is not good or bad idea, then it is not her embarrassment, because it is not her idea, it's a Steve idea. So she will be more brave to give more and more productive ideas. So actually what we are doing, we are putting everyone out of the box to explore the minds and to give more and more productive ideas. So the problem is solved, because now there is no one is afraid or shy in brainstorming sessions. Now let's talk about rapid ideation. It's a basic and simple technique which almost all the companies try to implement at initial stages. It can have two or more phases, where first phase called divergence session, and in this session we ask everyone to write as many ideas as possible within 5 minutes or even less than 5 minutes if the problem is not very complex, and no discussion is allowed here. In the second phase, which is called convergence session, and here we ask everyone to place ideas over the whiteboard, and discussion is allowed here, and if during the discussion there comes a new idea, then it should be considered as well and should be on the whiteboard. In these both sessions, quality doesn't matter, because we are focusing over quantity instead of quality. And in our upcoming example, we shall follow rapid ideation technique. Now let's have an example. There is a company called Liu Design, and it has $30,000 budget, and with this money they want to make their employee more and more happy. So the finance manager decided to call a brainstorming meeting with maximum diversity. Like he called 3 software developers, 6 HR employees, 2 employees from quality department, and so on. Diversity in the group meeting could be very effective if the scope of the solution is very vast. For example, here money could be spent in any better way. So anyone can give an optimal or better solution. No one is superior here. And at the end, it was decided to follow rapid ideation technique, simple voting, and then plurality principle. So now let's start the meeting. As we said, we shall follow rapid ideation technique, and this is a divergent phase where we have asked everyone to write as many ideas as possible within 5 minutes, and no discussion is allowed here. Session limitation and solution limitations are written at a visible place so everyone can read it again and again. Here let me discuss a very important point. No one can give a solution or an idea if he or she doesn't know about the problem. So it's a moderator job to describe problem more than once to make sure that everyone knows about the problem. After this phase, we have another phase which is called convergent phase or session, and here we have asked everyone to place ideas on whiteboard so we can discuss the ideas. And here questions are allowed, and it's a very good idea to write one idea on one sticky note and paste on the whiteboard. And after this, we have a situation like this, where all the questions are on whiteboard, and it looks like this. If there are too many ideas, then we can apply affinity diagram technique, which actually divides ideas into logical groups, and then it becomes easy to handle. However, we don't have this situation because most of the ideas are overlapping or repeated ideas. So after this session, we have exactly 13 ideas, like we should buy computer hardware or new computers. We should buy new chair for everyone, keep it for next year's, or we should give to one person in lucky draw. That's a very good idea. And so on. So actually we have exactly 13 ideas. What to do next? How we can select one or more ideas. Selection of one or more ideas is based on which idea is favorite among the group members. And how to know which idea is favorite among the group member is based on voting. There are 2 types of voting methods. First is simple voting and other is multiple voting. Simple voting says each group member can vote for a single idea. That's it. Multiple voting says each group members can vote for multiple ideas. Just like any group member says, this is my first favorite idea, this is my second favorite idea, and so on. However, we decided we shall follow simple voting, and after the voting we have these results where first idea have single vote, second idea have also single vote, and third idea has 5 votes, and so on. Now if anyone looks at these results, he or she will say we should select third idea. Why we say like that? Because by default we have a principle in our mind, which is plurality principle, and according to plurality principle we should select an idea which has maximum vote. However, plurality is not a unique principle here which we can apply. There are few other principles like dictatorship, unanimity, and majority. Dictatorship says any person with the higher authorities should select an idea by considering or even without considering the voting results. However, dictatorship is not favorable or among brainstorming sessions. Now let's talk about unanimity and majority principles. Unanimity says we should select an idea which has 100% votes. It means everyone should agree for a single idea. All the decisions which are taken through unanimity principles could be very effective because everyone was agreed for a single idea. However, unanimity is very difficult to implement at larger groups, because if anyone who is sitting somewhere in the meeting room and if he or she says no to the idea, then we cannot select it. Now let's talk about majority principle. Majority principle say we should select an idea which has more than half of the group members' votes. For example, if we have 14 votes here, then this idea should be selected because it has more than 7 votes. Majority principle is relatively easy to implement at larger groups, because if there are few members who are against the idea, then still most of the group members are in the favor of it, so we can select the idea. Anyhow, now let's talk about plurality principle, which we are actually implementing in our case. According to the principle, we should select an idea which has maximum votes, and here third idea have 5 votes, which actually are maximum for any idea. So the finance manager decided to select third idea, which says we should spend money overnight for an overnight outdoor seminar where the employees shall discuss about upcoming projects, current projects and problems, and so on. That's it. Now the finance manager has gone through all the brainstorming steps. For example, first he had a problem. Then he called group meeting for group discussion. After the discussion, he extracted as many ideas as possible. To know which idea is favorite, he applied simple voting method to know. And then at the end, having voting results, he applied plurality principle to finalize the idea. So he's finished now. He's done his job. Now let's have a review. Brainstorming is an idea generation technique which we use in problem solving. There is no hard and strict rule for brainstorming. We can apply any method or any technique to extract the ideas. After having ideas, we can apply voting method to know which idea is favorite among the group members. And at the end, after having voting results, we can apply one of these techniques to finalize the idea. Final idea for implementation or for the approval. That's it. Thanks for watching and have a very nice time.